Strider Theater. Tonight was a very special evening. In addition to the performance of Eurydice, we are celebrating a momentous occasion in Colby history and saying a fond farewell to this splendid theater, which is the home of more fond memories than any of us can possibly count. Before we begin, there are some people I would like to acknowledge. First, I believe we have a fair representation of alumni and former faculty staff perhaps with us as well. To all who have ever performed, directed, or choreographed on this stage, or who have worked behind the scenes or designed for this venue, I want to say, welcome home. It's probably safe to assume that each of our fine alumni already knows where the emergency exits are. But for those who have forgotten, or for anyone else who might not know, in the event of an emergency, please proceed to the doors directly behind you, or to these two exits on either side of the front row, in a calm and orderly fashion. Many of our alums were here at Colby before anyone owned one of those strange contraptions now known as a cell phone, and thus never had to endure hearing the sacred air of Strider sullied by a plea to turn those infernal things off. I invite them now to join me in saying, "Please turn off your phone." I think they did it better last night. Let's try it. Ready? Please turn off your phone. Be aware that this is only a small gathering of performing arts, theater, and dance alumni. Over the last nearly 5 decades, thousands of students, faculty, and staff have found Runnels to be a most special place and made a deep emotional connection to this wonderful facility. I'm sure they all wish they could be with us tonight. Some have answered the call to send us photos, which we have proudly displayed in the lobby. I hope they know that each and every one of them are with us tonight in spirit. When we first conceived this performance, featuring a combined team of current and former students, we knew it wouldn't be possible to have the alumni contingent on campus throughout the entire rehearsal process. In addition to the wonderful ensemble of actors you will soon see in Eurydice, we also cast 2 current students to help create the staging and characterization for the roles of the Father and the Lord of the Underworld, and then teach this work to their alumni partners, Glenn Porter and Jory Raphael, once they join us in person. So while you won't get the privilege of seeing these 2 amazing students on stage tonight, they have worked tirelessly over the past few months and richly deserve the same accolades their peers will receive during the curtain call. Hence, please join me now in recognizing and thanking Erica Loomis and Stephanie Smith. There are 2 other people who won't appear on stage tonight, all of whom are alumni. Kaylee and Kelsey Pomelo Book, Zach Brewster Geis, Tate Messman, and Will Sideri. Together, this team of former students has helped me twist the space-time continuum just a little bit, and each of them played a vital role in creating this show. I can't possibly thank them enough. 46 years ago, on this very weekend, there was a ceremony dedicating the theater space in the newly renovated Runnels Union. On April 30th, 1977, Dean Paul Jensen began the evening with these following words.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, rarely does one find such a convergence of good forces as we do this evening. We celebrate the completion of this space dedicated to the performing arts, and to those purposes towards which our honored guests have been so loyal for these many years. Drama and music, opera and dance, entertain and amuse us, inform and educate us, sharpen our minds, and direct our passions. This space, as long as it exists, will remind those who enter of those unchanging values toward which Helen and Bob Strider have dedicated their lives, of truth, beauty, justice, compassion, and untiring efforts at making this world a more inhabitable and civilized place for all. What better way could we signal the honor, respect, and affection we feel for the Striders than by having their names given to this facility? May all who perform on this stage or participate as observers in this theater find deeper meanings in their lives and be renewed in their commitment to those values which makes being human worthwhile.
Is anyone here tonight that was here that night? I see one nod right over there. One right in the back right over there. Well, I'm pleased to share with you that joining with us tonight we have three people. We have Richard Gachita, and also want to point out Tina Wenzel in the back. Dick Sewell, who you'll hear from in just a moment. While President Strider and his wife Helen are sadly no longer with us, they are very much in our minds tonight. To help honor the Striders, we've been in touch with the Strider children, one of whom I believe is here tonight, but I haven't seen if he's here yet. Is Phil Strider with us tonight? Yeah, welcome. Phil's sister Betsy was also really hoping to be here tonight, but unfortunately things prevented that from happening, so she has written something that you've probably already seen in your program. Well, following that dedication ceremony for Strider Theater, the Colby community was treated to a performance of Shakespeare's Othello. That production was directed by a man who has had a profound impact on my life and on the lives of more Colby students than anyone knows. Please welcome to the stage, Dick Sewell.
Most nights, I don't believe in theater ghosts. Yet, so many ghosts are elbowing me on this stage. I have hardly room. But they're friendly. Here's Netta Rose. When she was just Netta, not a stiff-faced black and white photo in the lobby, but a live, chuckling athlete. Back when women's athletes had to swim uphill. And here's President Strider, a big, ambulant man I had the fun of directing once in The Mikado. And, by the way, his daughter in The Tempest. I owe Strider one of my life's greatest strokes of luck, being invited to work at Colby. Before there was a Strider Theater, dance happened at Colby via the dance club, part of athletics. And I speak this believing I know what I'm talking about. And Tina, who is here tonight, really knows this story far better than I do. Plays happened via the student club parlor and wing in a wooden building on the edge of campus until it burned down 6 years before I arrived, with a faculty advisor from the English department. Along with President Strider, at least 4, Irving Suss, the P&W advisor, Doug Archibald, the Yates man, Ben Brancaccio, and Howard Jones, both from the English department, pushed hard and long to have a theater space worthy of Colby. At last, Dr. Suss hit burnout. Ironically, just when the trustees, or whatever stars, aligned, and this theater was scheduled. I was to fill Dr. Suss's space. So this theater and I are, in a way, out of one nest. Reynolds Union was an athletic sorority house. This space was its basketball court. Some of you are sitting with just your heads above the floor level. Some are even seated below the floor level. With an awkward high, small stage at one end, maybe where the shop is now. I started to work the fall before the redo here with a pair of one-acts, both set in caves so that I only had to contrive one set. Right off, I learned why P&W so rarely used that stage. The lighting, such as it was on light poles, standing on the basketball court, focused at 10 before opening. That day, enterprising athletes moved the poles to play basketball. As we clicked off the harsh ceiling lights, began the pre-show tape, and eased the stage lighting, the front row and spots here and there in the audience grew bright. The stage remained dark. The next 20 minutes of the entertainment was a scramble to refocus the lighting. P&W volunteers teetering on poles over the heads of uneasily seated viewers. Oddly, no one was either electrocuted or crushed. Then construction took over us. The shows that year were staged upstairs in Roberts or downtown in the City Opera House, or here or there or elsewhere. And now the ghosts on this stage swell. More doppelgangers than ghosts, because many of you sit out there still wonderfully tangible. And absent friends made this Strider Theater the magic place it is for all of us. Thank you. Back to the first years. A Colby-sized institution always draws large theater. We were never at a loss for large cast shows, but each year brings some with the adventurous daring to feel theater is an absolute compulsion. Many years, which I came to think of as I'll start that one again. Many years, what I came to think of as a critical mass would arrive, a creative plutonium, fully committed to performance or to backstage skills. That mass, brought together, produces a shining energy. My good fortune was to arrive mid-70s during a very extraordinary cluster. I'd love to introduce each of them by name, but take it on faith. They're dear to me. I remember fine P&W stagings, some done while this theater was being built, some when it was new. Marat Sade, Jesus Christ Superstar, Cabaret, Man in the Moon Marigolds, Man of La Mancha, all student motivated, student done, and done well. What luck to work with such a crowd. And there was small part in planning a space worthy of me. In early talks with Doug Archibald, I recall making 3 pleas about plans for this theater. One was a whopping mistake. One I still take a small pride in, and one I take a huge pride in. Given my limits, a new building had to have a technical director, someone with a range of skills to fulfill this facility's potentials. show after show at TD. Steve Woody was hired. He became a stalwart colleague relied on for years. There was not one tool in the shop when Steve started. No flats or risers, nothing to do his job with. He began that assemblage. He also rightly felt himself custodian of this building as a whole. Now, I'd grown up in a house where there were no keys, only a latch on the front door. So keys were beyond my range of habit. Never losing mine. It drove Steve half crazy. But he put out with me. Salutes and apologies to Steve. Steve also lived with my huge mistake. To explain, I have to flip back the calendar. While this building was being planned, Powder and Wig, on their own, did a beautiful Little Nights music downtown. In night music, a quartet watches the story unfold, just as the audience does. And for them, a huge, high, curved, upstage platform was put up to mirror image the real Opera House balcony. A papier-mâché facade put together in a frat house cellar matched the Opera House plasterwork. Imagine the logistics of that. Opening night, I was gloating to think that I'd be working with such skills. Then, that platform wobbled. Only slightly, but with 4 singers 8 feet in the air, and cast coming and going beneath them. I was by name Powder and Wig's advisor. Why did I let the show go on 2 more nights and not call in carpenters to shore up the platform? What the devil was I thinking? Which returns my story to this building. The more I thought about that non-catastrophe at the Opera House, the more the role of advisor loomed. Dreading the accidents theaters are prone to, I insisted on a winch system for raising and lowering the heavy light bars that would be foolproof. I didn't know how such a system was done, but I was sure there had to be one. We ended up with clumsy gears that took wearisome turning and turning and turning to hoist and lower. They slowed up work maddeningly. Steve, and then later John and Jim, mea culpa. After Steve and rekindled, that early plea for technical director again paid off hugely. John Irvin arrived. How on earth were we all so late? The small sprite I spoke of, well, the architects originally planned the seating in straight lines, like bleachers. Why is it that a slight curve brings an audience together communally? I gave a rather absurdly over-impassioned plea based on the shape of the world's oldest theaters. Somehow, the plea got listened to. There's in a real sense, this theater space created the Department of Theater Affairs. Here, Paul Macklin, Tina Wenzel, Steve Woody, and then Jim and John and I all came to work together. Music, dance, drama, and spectacle converged. The combination of arts that made theater in old Athens so compelling a part of life. That fusion drew more and more of you together, till clubs became eventually a program with a capital P. And then, eventually, a department with a very big P. after one particularly enriched year, a real plutonium year, in the mid-1980s, I think, but I'm not sure, we reckoned the numbers and found that, believe it or not, 1/3 of Colby's student body had worked here in one capacity or another. To do justice to all those colleagues and students would take us well into the night. We'd never get to see the play. But kaleidoscopic images flickered. Jim Thurston's beautiful lighting for Tina's dances, and splendid sets such as Circus Tent, Greenhouse, Christine Nillis's costumes, works of art. Tonight, 2 names must stand for all the others, not to diminish those others in any way, just to represent them. Patti Sirigliano, to the best of my recollection, may have been the only one to have played, I think, 5 major roles in her senior year, culminating with Moon for the Misbegotten, and graduated from some other department with honors. John Urban, whose multitask work brings us here tonight, had the huge and lasting gratitude of all of us who have ever had the luck and joy to know his endless range of ingenuities, and especially his generosity of heart. Excuse me. Those 2 are archetypes of the best Colby departments of theater and dance, and I dearly hope will go on being. One form, and then I'll shut up. This was written by a young man in his 20s, still new enough to theater so that each post-show strike was excruciatingly funereal. Now it comes back to him on the edge of 90 with unexpended force. To actors after Macbeth. Lint dust rattles ahead of a sweeping broom. I ache of nicks and splinters, an unnoted bruise. A drowse launched dream, too veiled with truths to ride, heaves back into the dark where it was made. Faces in cleaving luster of lights on capes confuse, recede, and plummet a deeper starkness than my doom. Gone where the light goes when the candles burn. Where have minutes gathered? Where are bright times shed to? Toward what center of the other end of being does such lightness tend as these fool's moments in the glistering lime of metal, gilt, and polished leathers never quite our own? Eyes glitter and encounter, kings are slain, gone smugly into doom as seen before, their figure bearers gaping in the wings. Behold the murderer's passion told, or cluster to lesser lords. Line the door, their hard, whittled with one brief line. Then the great sails lower away, a dust of lint, soft carpets, an extinct epiphany. We may well marvel at the strict morality of plays that teach how nothing stays. Whose magnanimity of hand could seize a day when 2 brief hours slip so hugely past and never feel our fingers on them? It is well. Our handling cannot fray the woven phrases. They have sunk back again into the book. the closed, unfathomed pages, out of which we took massive drapes, the giant robes and graces transfiguring mortal faces, then fading out like features in a spell.